This is the Google Pixel 9 in a really dope color, peony.
Pink.
Yeah, yeah. So if you wanted to buy a phone from Google that was a flagship, right? So you don't want any of their A model, the budget phones.
Right.
You want a flagship phone from Google, but you don't want to pay money for the pros.
Yep.
This is the option.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
It looks crazy cool.
Yeah, and it is actually a really good, like in my opinion, right? There's a lot to like about this phone. So we're going to talk about the Pixel 9, how much it costs, if we would change anything, and ultimately if it's going to be a good buy for your money because the holidays are coming up.
And you got to think about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get to it. Now, right off the bat, I think you're going to notice something really obvious, and it's the fact that the design, the signature look on this lineup, is very similar across all Pixel 9 phones, except for the Pixel Fold.
Yeah.
But Pixel 9 and Pixel 9 Pros are going to look very, very similar, including the boxier shape with the flat edges. That you have that rounded design with the visor. The only difference you'll see mainly between the Pro and the non-Pro in this case is you'll have that glossy glass back with the metal frame that's matte. Outside of that, everything is going to look very similar. You do have unique color choices, like we mentioned earlier. But outside of that, it's like you can put them side to side, and they're going to look almost the same.
Yeah, and they do also share some internals too. Like if you're going to look at the Pixel 9 and compare it to the standard 9 Pro. Right. Now there is a 9 Pro and the bigger 9 Pro XL.
Yep.
But if you just look at the 9 and 9 Pro, they share the same battery size, 4,700 milliamp hours. They share the same Tensor G4 chip,
right?
Titan M2 security chip. But the good thing about the Pixel 9 is that it still has all those other flagship intangibles that you want to, right? Like your IP68 water and dust resistance rating,
right?
Wireless charging, reverse wireless charging,
right?
So wireless power share and stuff like that. But there are also some differences whenever we talk about internal specs. So the Pixel line specifically starts at 128 gigs of storage, which we'll get to that point later because I've never liked that for a couple of years
2024, guys.
Come on. And it maxes out at 256.
Yep.
So there is no 512 and there is no 1 terabyte. And as far as RAM goes, for some reason, the Pros all got 16 gigs of RAM.
Right.
The regular 9 got 12 gigs of RAM.
Right.
Which I was always under the assumption that there's close to 4 gigs of RAM just specifically for Gemini, which is also present on the Pixel 9. But this phone is 4 gigs of RAM short.
And I think ultimately it might sound like it's missing a lot of things, but I would look at it the other way where you have a phone that's not considered their main flagship line, and yet it has so many things that are similar to their Pro line of phones that, hey, you're paying less for things that are included on the Pro line on just a normal Pixel 9.
Yeah, I think it's just this like weird paradox that we have with smartphones now where like everyone associates the Pro level lineup of the phone as like the true flagship. And then it's like the entry flagship is no longer considered a flagship for whatever reason. Look at the iPhones.
Right.
iPhone 16 versus iPhone 16 Pro, everyone would probably only say the Pro is the flagship.
Right.
When in reality, the 16 is a flagship too.
And even then, on the phones, on the iPhones, there are more differences between the Pro and the non-Pro. In this case, there's not that many.
Yeah, I do think that Google did a really good job keeping this phone very close to the Pros.
Right.
There are some other subtle differences, but definitely not some deal breakers that we're going to get into here shortly. But the Pixel 9 is still a really capable phone.
Solid device.
Yeah, for what it is. And since we're on the topic of internals and performance specs, let's just talk about it.
Keep going.
Right? So we already know what Tensor G4 is, right? Google's in-house chip. It's not going to stack up to what you're seeing performance-wise from the Qualcomms and things like that.
Right.
But it's still very capable. I never had any issues on a Pixel 9 Pro XL in terms of performance. And the same held true for the Pixel 9, even with having 4 gigs less of RAM, right?
Yeah, that's very true.
In our tests of comparing Gemini right next to each other on both phones, going through numerous prompts, asking the exact same thing, the Pixel 9 generated answers for the prompts just as fast, and in some cases, even with image generation, slightly faster than the 9 Pro XL.
Right.
So my guess is that the difference in RAM might only become a factor whenever it comes to things like multitasking, maybe.
Right.
But the good news is that even with 4 gigs less of RAM, you're still getting stellar performance from the AI category, which I think is really important.
And I completely agree. I think it's really impressive that they were able to manage that level of results with sacrificing a little bit just on the RAM because everything else is identical to the Pro level.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that is different on this phone is the display. Now, if you compare the size on the Pixel 9 and the 9 Pro, it's the same size. We're looking at a 6.3-inch display, but in this case, we are looking at a non-LTPO display that's 1080p.
Yeah.
Is that terrible? I don't think so.
Nope.
You still get 120 hertz on the refresh rate. You get 2700 nits peak max brightness. It is an amazing screen, and you're going to see a lot of things that you normally wouldn't see outside because of how bright this is. So you're not going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I honestly, it's yes, you want to ask for more because we're used to seeing more on other devices, even on the 9 Pro and the 9 Pro XL.
Yeah.
But you can't really see that much of a difference unless you put a microscope and see the pixels individually.
Yeah. To give you a perspective, and this is kind of a little bit of a fun fact, the display on the Pixel 9
Right.
is the same external display used on the 9 Pro Fold.
That's what I'm saying.
Down to the resolution, the brightness, the size, everything.
Yeah.
It is the same exact display as the Pixel 9, which I actually think it's a perfectly acceptable display on a phone like the 9 because I got a question for you. What's the resolution rate on an iPhone 16?
Nice.
Yeah, not 120, right?
And ultimately, they don't even advertise it because they know it's not going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
So they don't give you a number. They call it a fancy title and fancy name, but they're not going to give you a resolution that's popular like other smartphones do.
Right,
So.
right. But what I will say is it's that type of display quality on this phone is great, especially for the price point.
Right.
I will say that for the 9 Pro Fold, I wish they would have given it a 2K display, LTPO for the external, right? All the nice stuff you get on the internal, especially for the $2,000 foldable, but we've already reviewed that phone. That's a whole...
Which you can see right there.
Which side? This side? Yeah. But anyway, display on the Pixel 9, good. Performance, also good.
Gooder.
Yes.
And the moment you're waiting for, the cameras. Here's what's interesting about the cameras, because when it comes to this phone, we keep going back to the same thing. It is considered a flagship. Even though it's not a pro level phone, it's not a Pixel 9 Pro, there's so many features and specs on this phone that are part of their flagship, which is one of the things that Google did amazing, by the way. There's so many other companies that they sacrifice not only removing features, but also changing other ones to make it more like a lower level. In this case, you have the same camera system, except for one lens. You have the same 50 megapixel wide angle. You have the same 48 megapixel ultra wide angle with macro.
Yep.
The only thing you're missing out on is a 48 megapixel telephoto, 5x telephoto, which maybe you're not someone that really cares about that. And you're happy to hear the news because that's literally the only difference. You have the same resolution, same quality, same video features, same AI features to edit and modify and do image capture and do generative AI features on your pictures. All the crazy stuff that you see on the Pro level, you're going to have on the Pixel 9. So you're not going to be disappointed. And ultimately, it is a Pixel phone, which they're known to have great pictures. They're really balanced. They're really sharp. Bokeh and portrait is amazing. There's not a lot to say ultimately just because they did a good job in the fact that they're keeping a really hard and really good camera system on the Pro on their non-Pro model, which you can't say that about Samsung with their super expensive $2,000 phone that doesn't have the Ultra camera system. You have the iPhones that have different camera systems in the Pro and the non-Pros. So props to them. I think they did great.
Yeah, 2 out of 3 lenses taken directly from the Pro level phone, the Pro level flagship phone. You honestly, and I think for the market of folks who are going to be attracted to this device, they're probably not that worried that they're missing out on a 5x telephoto lens, right? With 5x optical.
And you're getting the Pro cameras.
Yeah, and you're getting the Pro cameras. And I gotta say, I still love the camera performance on the Pixels.
Yeah.
Right? They're so easy whenever it comes to point and shoot. Even on the Pro level ones, right? The Pro level Pixels, they're so good at you can just point and shoot and the photo comes out really well. Yeah. Which we've kind of talked about a little bit in terms of how complicated I found the 16 Pro's camera systems with the photographic styles and like all the filters and stuff like that. Yeah. The point and shoot simplicity of the Pixel is still there, and it's still it's still got to be like top 3 camera systems on the market.
I would say so.
Right? Like it's just as competitive as anything you're going to see from Apple, and it's just as competitive as anything you're going to see from Samsung. And in my opinion, this phone that has the starting price of $799 has a better wide and ultra wide than the $2,000 Pixel 9 Pro Fold.
Yes.
Yeah, it really does. So camera systems on this phone are also great, which is super important. So I'm happy to see that Google made the decisions that they made here. All right. Now let's talk about color, storage, pricing. right?
Yes.
Okay, so colors, 4 on the Pixel 9. I really like 2 of them. 2 of them are basic, right? So, of course, you have porcelain, obsidian, white, and black, right?
Toilet.
Toilet, yeah. White
Yes.
and black. Then you have peony, which is this pink.
Right.
Super dope, right?
Really
Like,
cool.
I wish we would see more stuff like this on, like, pro level phones, these colors.
And other companies.
And
Apple take notes.
Yeah. And winter green, which I also think would have been dope.
Mm-hmm.
Between winter green and peony, those are definitely like the colors you should go for.
Right.
Right. 2 storage options only though on the Pixel 9, which I get Google utilizes a lot of cloud storage, including all of their photos.
Right.
So like I get it, but at the same time, you've already done so well with the value, in my opinion. Just bump up the standard storage to 256.
Right.
Some folks still might want to get this phone and install some relatively heavy apps. Maybe you still want to save the photos to your phone at full resolution.
Right.
Right. But nonetheless, 128 gigs starts at $799.
Yep.
And 256 gigs, well, it doesn't start because you can't go any higher. 128 gigs is $799. 256 gigs is $899. Although I will say, for Black Friday and Cyber Monday that just recently passed, both phones were $150 off.
Right.
They went back to full price for like a week. And now coming up for a holiday sale, they're again at $150 off.
And that's no trade-in.
That's without trade-in. So
Yeah.
you could get a 128 gigabyte model Pixel 9
Yep.
for $650, or for $100 more, $750, you could get the 256
That's less than the
without
starting price.
trade-in.
Yeah.
Without
crazy.
trade-in. That's actually I really think that's a solid deal.
And that's what's crazy, because this is such a well bundled phone that it gives you everything you need as a starter model, as their entry level flagship.
Yeah.
Which it is a flagship.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make you feel like you're missing out on a lot, because you're getting so many flagship pro level features on a non-pro phone that why would you ask for more for the price that you're paying,
Yeah,
right?
this is an
If
amazing
that makes
phone.
sense.
Yeah.
So if you're considering it, if you have an older Pixel, if you have a pro level that you're considering downsizing to a non-pro model this year, please let us know. Drop it in the comments. If
Yeah.
there's anything you want to see in the future, drop it in the comments as well. We still have a lot more content coming, man.
Yeah.
There's like so many things that we still have to review.
Yeah.
Holidays are coming up, so we might be a little busy, but we're going to try to keep posting as much as we can so we can keep reviewing everything that we need to do down the list.
Yep.
We're close to 30.
Yeah, we're less than 200 subs away, right? At the time of
Close
filming
to
this
30.
video, less than 200 subs away. Share with your friends, family, loved ones.
Yeah. And
You know
this
what I
has
mean?
been an amazing year
Yeah.
for growth and for
Yeah.
just learning for us, because of you guys, because of all the feedback, because of all the interactions that you've given us. And we love it. We
100%.
wouldn't be doing this without you.
Yeah.
So we do appreciate that.
Yeah.
But without further ado,
That's
till
it.
the next one.
Google Pixel 9. Catch you in the next one.
Later.
Peace.
You're going to notice something that's really obvious, and it's the fact that they're keeping the same signature design when it comes to the iPhone. There's no way, dude.
He did it again!